Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
I was reviewing quarterly reports when my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Sarah Martinez from accounting had tagged me in a comment. Curious, I opened the app and felt my world tilt sideways. The post was from my wife Beth's account. Our beautiful daughter's wedding yesterday. Hashtag blessed family, hashtag perfect day, hashtag mother of the bride. 237 photos. My daughter Bree in a stunning white gown, radiant and glowing. My brother John walking her down the aisle where I should have been. Beth dabbing tears with a lace handkerchief. Tyler, the groom, beaming like he'd won the lottery. Extended family, friends, neighbors, everyone I knew celebrating the most important day of my daughter's life. Everyone except me. I scrolled through image after image, my hands trembling. The church I'd never seen. The reception hall I'd never approved. The cake I'd never tasted. The father-daughter dance that never happened because the father was never invited. The comments were pouring in. So beautiful. Where was Nick, though? Such a perfect family celebration. Beth, you look amazing. Best mother of the bride ever. I stared at my reflection in my phone screen. Nick Foster, 48 years old, co-owner of Foster & Associates Electrical Contractors. Married 23 years. Father of one daughter who'd apparently gotten married yesterday without bothering to mention it. My office door was closed, thank God, because I was about to lose my mind. I called Beth, straight to voicemail. Called Bree, same thing. Called John, my business partner, my brother, the man who'd walked my daughter down the aisle. Hey, Nick, can't talk right now. You son of a bitch, I whispered. What? You walked her down the aisle. Silence. Then, Nick, look, it's complicated. I hung up and immediately opened my banking app. The wedding fund Beth and I had established, $50,000 I'd contributed over 2 years, sat untouched. She'd planned an entire wedding without using a penny of my money. Interesting. I transferred the entire amount to my personal checking account, then called my assistant. Jenny, I'm taking a sick day. Actually, make that sick days. Plural. Are you okay, Mr. Foster? I'm about to be. I grabbed my jacket and headed home to our 4-bedroom colonial in Westfield Heights. The house was empty, probably because my wife was off celebrating her daughter's marriage to a man I'd met exactly twice. I sat at our kitchen table and wrote a note on Beth's favorite stationery. Congratulations on the wedding I wasn't invited to. I've transferred the $50,000 wedding fund to cover my spontaneous vacation. Don't wait up. Nick P.S. Next time you plan a family event, you might want to include the family. I left it propped against the coffee maker, where she'd find it, then went upstairs and packed 2 suitcases. By 8 p.m., I was on a flight to the Maldives, phone turned off, watching the lights of my old life disappear below. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my daughter honeymooned wherever newlyweds go when they marry without their father's blessing, I'd be honeymooning with myself in paradise. The Constance Halavelli Resort was everything the website promised. Overwater villas, crystal blue lagoons, and most importantly, terrible cell phone reception. For 3 weeks, I lived like a king. Spa treatments, scuba diving, gourmet meals, and blessed silence. On day 22, curiosity got the better of me. I turned on my phone, 87 missed calls, 214 text messages, 43 voicemails. I ordered a piña colada and started listening. Message 1, Beth. Day 2. Nick, where are you? We need to talk about this wedding situation. Call me back. Message 15, Beth. Day 5. The venue is asking for final payment. The check bounced. Call me immediately. Message 31, Bree, Day 8. Dad, I'm sorry about the wedding, okay? But we need that money back. Our honeymoon got canceled and Tyler's furious. Please call me back. Message 43, John, Day 12. Nick, stop being a child. Your family needs you to fix this mess. The final message was from yesterday. Beth sobbing. Nick, please. The vendors are threatening to sue. Bree and Tyler are stuck at the airport in Cancun. Their hotel reservation was canceled. I know you're angry, but please don't punish our daughter for my mistakes. I sipped my drink and watched a sea turtle glide past my villa. Then I called Beth. Nick! Oh, thank God, where are you? Paradise, I said, and literally. I'm in the Maldives. The Maldives? Are you insane? We have a crisis here. Do we? Because I wasn't at the wedding, remember? So, technically, this isn't my crisis. Don't be ridiculous. You're Bree's father. Funny, I didn't feel very fatherly watching Instagram videos of John walking her down the aisle. Beth's voice cracked. That was a mistake. We thought... John said you wouldn't want to come anyway, that you'd been so distant lately. So, you decided for me. We can fix this, Nick. Come home and we'll figure it out together. I'm having the time of my life, Beth. Why would I come home to clean up a mess I didn't make? Because your daughter is stranded in Mexico. I took another sip of my drink. She had 200 guests at her wedding. I'm sure one of them can help. Nick, please. Tell you what. Ask John. He seems to have taken over my responsibilities anyway. I hung up and turned the phone back off. 2 days later, I checked out of Paradise and flew home, tanned and relaxed and ready for whatever chaos awaited me. The house looked like a crime scene. Not literally, but close. Angry vendor notices taped to the front door. Beth's car in the driveway with a boot on the wheel. Apparently she'd been dodging parking tickets. Through the window, I could see Bree on the couch in what looked like the same clothes she'd worn to travel, sobbing into Tyler's shoulder while he scrolled through his phone with obvious irritation. I used my key and walked in like I owned the place, which, legally, I still did. Dad! Bree jumped up and ran to me. For a moment, I almost softened. Then I remembered watching strangers walk her down the aisle on social media. Hello, Bree. How was the honeymoon? She burst into fresh tears. It was horrible. The hotel said our payment was declined and they gave our room away. We had to sleep in the airport for 2 nights before we could get a flight home. That sounds terrible, I said, setting down my suitcase. I had the opposite experience. Room service every morning, private beach, couples massage. Well, I got 2 massages, but you get the idea. Tyler looked up from his phone. Mr. Foster, we really need to talk about the money situation. I studied my new son-in-law. 25 years old, perfectly styled hair, designer clothes that cost more than most people's rent. Do we? Because I don't recall being consulted about any money situation. Beth emerged from the kitchen, looking haggard. Nick, thank God you're home. We need to fix this immediately. Fix what exactly? The vendors are threatening lawsuits. The photographer wants his full fee, even though he already delivered the pictures. The caterer says, stop. I held up my hand. Let me understand this. You planned a wedding without inviting me, used none of the money I saved for it, and now you want me to pay for it anyway? It wasn't like that, Beth said weakly. What was it like? Because from where I'm sitting, or rather, where I wasn't sitting, it looks like you decided I was unnecessary for the wedding, but essential for the bills. John's voice came from behind me. Nick, we need to talk. I turned to face my brother. He looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled shirt. The cocky confidence I'd always envied completely gone. Do we? Because I think walking my daughter down the aisle was all the talking we needed to do. That was Beth's idea. She said you'd been pulling away from the family, that you probably didn't even want to come. So you didn't ask me. You just assumed. You thought wrong. I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a beer from my refrigerator. But here's what I think. I think you've all gotten very comfortable making decisions without me, so keep doing it. I pulled out the divorce papers I'd had drawn up by a lawyer and mail. Amazing what you can accomplish with international Wi-Fi. A good legal firm. Beth, you've been served. I'm filing for divorce on grounds of emotional abandonment and alienation of affection. The silence was deafening. John, I'm also filing for dissolution of our business partnership. Turns out there's a clause about partners acting against each other's family interests. Nick, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. I finished my beer and headed for the stairs. I'm packing the rest of my things. I suggest you use this time to figure out how to pay for that beautiful wedding you threw without me. Dad, please, Bree called after me. I'm sorry about the invitation thing, but you can't just abandon us. I stopped halfway up the stairs and looked back at my daughter, beautiful, entitled, and completely oblivious to the irony of her words. Abandon you? Sweetheart, I wasn't at your wedding. According to everyone in this room, I was already gone. My new apartment was a corner unit in downtown's newest high-rise. Floor-to-ceiling windows, city views, and most importantly, a doorman who could keep unwanted visitors away. I'd managed to secure it and move in within a week. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're motivated by spite. The divorce proceedings were moving faster than expected. Beth had made several critical errors, including having John co-sign on credit cards she'd used for wedding expenses, which my lawyer argued constituted financial infidelity. The business dissolution was trickier, but John's decision to use company resources for personal matters, like taking time off to plan a wedding behind his partner's back, gave me significant leverage. I was reviewing financial statements when my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Foster, this is Rebecca Chen from Channel 7 News. We received an interesting tip about a local wedding story and wondered if you'd like to comment. I sat up straighter. What kind of tip? About a father who was excluded from his daughter's wedding, then left the family financially responsible for the entire event. Our source provided some fascinating details. I smiled. I hadn't contacted any reporters, which meant someone else was playing the media game. What kind of details? Well, apparently the bride's mother had been having an affair with the father's brother, and they planned the wedding together as a way to push the father out of the family entirely. When he discovered the wedding on social media and withdrew his financial support, it left the new couple stranded on their honeymoon. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure I should comment on family matters, I said carefully. Of course. But if you change your mind, we'd love to hear your side of the story, especially since your wife and brother-in-law have been telling anyone who'll listen that you're having some kind of mental breakdown. After she hung up, I poured myself a scotch and considered my options. I hadn't planned to go public, but if Beth and John wanted to play dirty, I was happy to accommodate them. I called Rebecca back. Actually, I think I would like to tell my side of the story. The interview aired 3 days later during the evening news. I came across as calm, reasonable, and deeply hurt by my family's betrayal. Beth came across as exactly what she was. A woman who'd planned her daughter's wedding with her lover and tried to stick her husband with the bill. The story went viral locally. #WeddingGate was trending on social media within hours. My phone started ringing immediately. Nick, what the hell have you done? John's voice was shaking with rage. I told the truth. Novel concept, I know. You've destroyed Beth's reputation. Bree is humiliated. This is going to ruin the business. Funny. I thought having an affair with your partner's wife might ruin the business. But what do I know? I was just the guy paying for everything. This isn't over, Nick. You're right, I said. It's just getting started. The Channel 7 interview was just the beginning. Within a week, I'd been contacted by 3 more news outlets, 2 podcasts, and a producer from a daytime talk show who wanted to do a segment on family betrayal in the social media age. I declined most of them, but the damage was done. Beth's Facebook page was flooded with comments from strangers, calling her everything from a gold digger to a home wrecker. Bree had to make her Instagram private after wedding photos were shared with increasingly brutal commentary. John was getting the worst of it. Someone had created a meme using his photo with the caption, "World's Worst Best Man," that was being shared across multiple platforms. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. The real satisfaction came from watching their carefully constructed social circle implode. Beth had built her identity around being the perfect suburban wife and mother. Now her book club friends were avoiding her calls, and the country club had quietly suggested she might want to take a break from her volunteer activities. John's business relationships were suffering too. Word travels fast in our industry, and nobody wants to partner with someone who betrays family. But the most satisfying development was watching Tyler's true colors emerge. With the honeymoon disaster and mounting wedding debts, his devotion to Bree was evaporating quickly. My daughter was learning a hard lesson about marrying someone who was more interested in her family's money than her. I was enjoying a quiet dinner at my favorite downtown restaurant when I spotted Beth across the room, sitting alone at the bar. She looked older somehow, worn down by weeks of public scrutiny and financial pressure. Against my better judgment, I walked over. "Hello, Beth." She looked up with red-rimmed eyes. "Nick."
He just gave me a massage. That's it!
Remember, I won't be a cuckold!
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
I was hoping we could talk. About what? About ending this. About finding a way to move forward that doesn't destroy everyone. I sat down next to her. "I'm not destroying anyone, Beth. I'm just not cleaning up your mess anymore. Our daughter's suffering. Our daughter made her choice when she decided to get married without inviting her father. Actions have consequences." Beth's voice dropped to a whisper. "What do you want from me? What will it take to stop this?" I considered her question seriously. What did I want? An apology? An explanation? My old life back? "I want you to understand something," I said finally. "For 23 years, I was invisible to you unless you needed something. I worked 60-hour weeks to pay for your lifestyle, your dreams, your plans. And when the most important day of our daughter's life came, you decided I wasn't worth including. That was a mistake. No, Beth, that was a choice. And now you get to live with the consequences of that choice." I stood to leave, then turned back. "Oh, and Beth, if you're looking for someone to blame for this mess, try the mirror. Or better yet, try John. I hear he's good at taking on responsibilities that aren't his." 3 weeks later, John cornered me in the parking lot outside our office building. I'd been expecting this confrontation. His calls had been getting increasingly desperate as our business partnership dissolution moved through the courts. "We need to talk," he said, stepping out from behind my car. "Do we? Because I thought we covered everything when you walked my daughter down the aisle. That was Beth's idea. I told you that. And you went along with it. My brother, my business partner, my daughter's uncle. And you couldn't pick up the phone and ask me what I wanted?" John's face was flushed with anger. "You've been impossible to deal with for months. Always working, never around for family stuff, acting like you were too good for the rest of us. So you decided to replace me. We decided to stop waiting for you to show up." I studied my brother's face. We'd looked alike once, but success had been kinder to me than to him. John had always been the charming one, the social one, the one everyone liked immediately. But charm doesn't build businesses or pay mortgages. "Here's what's going to happen," I said calmly. "The partnership dissolution will be finalized next week. You'll buy out my share at fair market value, or I'll liquidate the entire company, and we'll both start over." "You can't do that. I've got 20 years invested in this business." "So do I. But I'm the one who actually built it while you were charming clients and planning weddings behind my back." John stepped closer, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've got everything figured out. But you're going to lose everything, your family, your business, your reputation. And for what? Because your feelings got hurt?" "My feelings?" I laughed. "John, this isn't about feelings. This is about respect. And you've just proven you still don't understand the difference. You arrogant son of a—" He swung at me. I saw it coming from a mile away and stepped aside, letting his momentum carry him into the side of my car. He bounced off the hood and stumbled, more embarrassed than hurt. "Feel better?" I asked. "This isn't over, Nick." "Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet." I got in my car and drove away, leaving John standing in the parking lot, looking like exactly what he was. A man who'd lost everything because he couldn't tell the difference between being charming and being trustworthy. The charity gala was Beth's last stand. The annual Westfield Heights Children's Foundation dinner was her signature event, the one social occasion where she still held some influence. She'd been planning it for months before the wedding disaster, and canceling now would be social suicide. I wasn't supposed to know about it, but our divorce proceedings had made all her financial activities my business. She'd spent her remaining savings on a table, desperate to rehabilitate her image in front of the people who mattered most to her. What she didn't know was that I'd bought a table too. The Marriott ballroom was decorated in Beth's favorite colors, gold and cream, elegant and expensive. I arrived fashionably late, wearing my best tuxedo and accompanied by my lawyer's stunning daughter, who'd agreed to be my date for the evening. The reaction was immediate. Conversation stopped as we walked in. Beth, resplendent in a silver gown that probably cost more than most people's rent, went pale when she saw me. I'd strategically positioned my table with a clear view of hers. John was there, of course, looking uncomfortable in an ill-fitting tux. Bree and Tyler sat stiffly beside Beth, clearly wishing they were anywhere else. The evening proceeded normally through dinner and the silent auction. I bid generously on several items, making sure everyone noticed that I was doing quite well financially, despite my recent family troubles. Then came the program. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announced, we have a special presentation this evening about the importance of family values in our community. I smiled. Beth had no idea what was coming. The lights dimmed and a video began playing on the large screens around the room. It started innocently enough. Family photos from over the years, happy moments, traditional values. Then it shifted to more recent images, wedding photos from Bree's ceremony, but not the carefully curated ones from Instagram. These were candid shots I'd obtained from one of the guests, showing John and Beth in intimate conversation, holding hands when they thought no one was looking. Text messages I'd retrieved from our shared phone plan, discussing how to handle the Nick situation. Financial records showing money moved between accounts to hide wedding expenses. The room was dead silent. The video concluded with audio from a conversation Beth and John had had in our kitchen 2 days before the wedding. A conversation they didn't know was being recorded by our home security system. He'll never forgive us for this, Beth's voice said clearly. He doesn't have to, John replied. Once Bree's married and settled, we won't need him anymore. We can handle the business without him, and you'll be free to live your life however you want. What if he finds out about us? He won't. And even if he does, what's he going to do? He's too proud to make a scene. The lights came up. Every eye in the room was on Beth's table. She was frozen in her chair, her face white with shock. John looked like he was going to be sick. Bree was crying silently while Tyler stared at his phone, probably calculating how quickly he could distance himself from this disaster. I stood up slowly and walked to the microphone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Foster, and I believe you've just met my family. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. I want to thank Beth for organizing such a wonderful event, and for providing tonight's entertainment. It's not every day you get to watch someone's true character revealed in high definition. Nick, please. Beth's voice was barely audible. I also want to thank my brother John for stepping up when I couldn't be there. Of course, the reason I couldn't be there was that nobody told me where there was, but I'm sure that was just an oversight. The crowd was completely silent now, sensing they were witnessing something extraordinary. You know, they say that family is everything, that blood is thicker than water, that the people who love you will always have your back. I paused, looking directly at Beth. They also say that actions speak louder than words, and sometimes the loudest action of all is silence. I handed the microphone back to the MC and walked out of the ballroom, leaving behind the wreckage of my old life and the people who'd thought they could erase me from it. The video went viral within hours. Someone had live-streamed my speech, and by morning, #WeddingGate had evolved into #CharityGate. The local news picked up the story, then regional outlets, then national ones. Beth and John's betrayal became a cautionary tale about family loyalty and social media age consequences. I was in my office the next morning reviewing the final partnership dissolution papers when my assistant Jenny knocked on the door. Mr. Foster, there are some people here to see you. Beth, John, and Bree stood in my waiting room, looking like they hadn't slept. Beth's eyes were swollen from crying. John looked defeated, and Bree seemed smaller somehow. diminished by the weight of public humiliation. "We need to talk," Beth said. I gestured them into my office and closed the door. "Well, this is cozy," I said, settling behind my desk. "Just like old times, except now everyone knows the truth." "You've destroyed us," John said quietly. "Beth lost her job this morning. The foundation fired her. Bree's been getting death threats on social media. And Tyler filed for annulment," Bree added, her voice barely a whisper. "He said he can't be associated with our family anymore." I felt a flicker of sympathy for my daughter, but pushed it aside. "That's unfortunate, but not really my problem." "How can you say that?" Beth demanded. "She's your daughter." "My daughter got married without inviting me. My daughter chose to be part of your conspiracy. My daughter is an adult who made adult decisions and now gets to live with adult consequences." "We're sorry," Bree said suddenly. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I wanted to invite you, but Mom said—" "Stop!" I held up my hand. "Don't blame your mother. You're 22 years old. You could have picked up the phone." "You're right," she whispered. "I was wrong. We were all wrong. But please, isn't there some way to fix this?" I looked at the three people who'd been the center of my world for over 2 decades. They'd betrayed me, humiliated me, and tried to erase me from the most important day of my daughter's life. But sitting there in my office, they looked broken and desperate and genuinely remorseful. For a moment, I considered forgiveness. I considered mercy. Then, I remembered watching my daughter's wedding on Instagram while sitting alone in my office. "There is something you can do," I said finally. Hope flickered in their eyes. "You can live with what you've done. You can wake up every morning knowing that you had a husband, a brother, a father who loved you unconditionally, and you threw it away for a wedding photo in a moment of drama." "Nick, please," John started. "I'm not finished." My voice was cold as winter steel. "John, you can live with knowing that you destroyed a 20-year business partnership and betrayed your only brother for a woman who was using you to hurt me. Beth, you can live with knowing that you traded a 23-year marriage for a few months of excitement and revenge. And Bree, you can live with knowing that you broke your father's heart on what should have been the happiest day of both our lives." I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city that had become my new home. "But here's the thing about consequences," I continued. "They're not punishment. They're just reality. You made choices and now you get to live with them. Just like I'm living with mine." "What are you saying?" Beth asked. "I'm saying that I'm done. Done with the anger, done with the revenge, done with all of you. I'm starting over, and I'm doing it without the people who decided they could do it without me." I turned back to face them. "The divorce will be final next week. The business dissolution is complete. I'm selling the house and donating the proceeds to charity. The real kind, not the kind that gets planned at dinner parties." "Dad, please don't do this," Bree pleaded. "I'm not doing anything, sweetheart. I'm just not undoing what you already did." They left quietly, and I never saw them together again. 6 months later, I was living in a downtown loft that was everything my suburban house had never been: modern, minimalist, and completely mine. The divorce was final, the business had been sold to a competitor for more money than I'd ever imagined, and I was consulting for companies that appreciated my expertise without the family drama. Beth had moved back in with her mother and was working part-time at a department store. John was driving for a rideshare company and living in a studio apartment. Bree had enrolled in community college and was working at a coffee shop, finally learning the value of money she had to earn herself. Tyler had married a real estate agent from the next town over, within 3 months of the annulment. Apparently, his commitment to the institution of marriage was stronger than his commitment to any particular bride. I was reading the Sunday paper when I came across the wedding announcements. There was Tyler's photo, beaming next to his new wife, with a quote about finding true love after overcoming past mistakes. I laughed out loud. Some people never learn. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Dad, I know you probably won't respond, but I wanted you to know that I'm doing better. I got a promotion at work and I'm saving money for school. I think about the wedding every day and how wrong I was. I love you, and I'm sorry. Bree." I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt, Some trust once broken can't be repaired. Some families once betrayed can't be forgiven. But some men, once invisible, can finally be seen clearly by themselves, if no one else. I finished my coffee, folded the paper, and started planning my day. I had a consultation with a tech startup in the morning, lunch with my new girlfriend Sarah, a brilliant architect who appreciated men who kept their promises, and dinner reservations at the city's best restaurant. It was going to be a perfect day. Just like every day, since I'd stopped trying to be perfect for people who couldn't see me anyway. The wedding I wasn't invited to had been the best thing that ever happened to me. It had shown me exactly who I was dealing with, exactly what I meant to them, and exactly what I needed to do about it. I'd gotten revenge, all right. Not through violence or cruelty or elaborate schemes, but through something much more devastating. I'd given them exactly what they'd asked for, a life without me in it. And as it turned out, I was the one who'd gotten the better deal.